So check it out. Shree.
Yes.
All right. You're going to get into it. So check this out. So I put this post on Facebook, right?
Okay.
Um. So put the mic.
Okay.
Put the mic closer to you. I said, would you rather? We're going to play Would You Rather.
All right.
All right?
Okay.
Boy, oh boy. All right. So, would you rather, Shree, make 50 million but be required to perform actions counter to your integrity? Not illegal stuff, right? Just stuff, that might not be what you want to do. Or make 5 million with your integrity intact.
50 million.
50. Really?
All right.
So-
but
I'm shocked.
what I
I'm
want to know the
shocked.
specifics.
Well, it's it's a very general statement. It's really just comparing two sort of random amounts of money. Both a lot of money. Where one you have to make some compromises. Some compromises you may not like, and the other, no compromises at all.
Mm-hmm.
Are those $45 million worth it to you?
Yes.
Are they really? Daggone it, Shree, man.
Oh, did you want me to say something different?
No, I wanted you to tell the truth, but I just thought you would say something different. That's all. You haven't
50 million is 50 million.
Right, but 5 million is nothing to sneeze at. See, I know what the
I'm
problem
not,
is.
but that's 10 times as much. It's a big difference. How many actions?
I don't know. Because Dave Chappelle, he has these comedy specials on Netflix now, right?
Okay.
I think they're hilarious. I think he's the funniest guy that ever lived. So you don't have much context. You never saw Richard Pryor.
Yeah, Granddaddy says he's the best. He's the funniest man who ever lived.
Yeah, see, that's the only guy that I've ever seen where you could argue, where you could use and say, that guy might be funnier than Dave Chappelle. Right? And I'll give you that. But nobody's living is funnier than Dave Chappelle. So, I'm just enjoying his comedy specials. And in the interviews he's done, like leading up to releasing these things on Netflix, he gave some interviews. And, all the time people ask him about, so that was, you were too young maybe, but you might see it in reruns, the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the time, they offered him $50 million, right?
Right.
To do his show. And they had started filming it for the season.
What?
You just look so much like your mother. They started filming it for the season, and he just sort of disappeared and didn't go back to work. He went to South Africa. So people said, oh, this guy's crazy. Like, he just is going to disappear.
So they started filming, and he was like,
I'm out.
peace out.
Peace out.
But
So people said he was crazy.
So he made his 50 million, though.
No, he never got the 50 million.
Okay.
He never got the 50 million because he didn't finish the work.
Okay.
So people are like, oh, he's crazy and he's paranoid and he must be on drugs and this, that, and the other. And he was like, nah, just, I didn't like what they were asking of me for the 50 million. So in that, people were questioning his sanity because how in the world could you give up $50 million?
Mm-hmm.
So, but meanwhile, if he just did his stand-up act and traveled the country and did his own thing, he's making $5 million without any questions. You see what I mean? So I find it interesting that people would still take that 50 million. People question his judgment, say he's crazy, right? And you're like, nah, he's crazy. You would take that 50 million. Oh my goodness, Shree. That's a shame. That's a shame. So what would you do with the 50 million versus the 5? Like, how do you even quantify it? Like, what are you going to buy? 10 more dinners when you go out to a fancy restaurant? I mean, you got $5 million a year. That's a lot of money. You going to buy 10 more cars than you would have bought before?
No, it's just
10 more. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, at what point?
I mean,
now, plenty of people have more than 50 million, but 50 million is a lot. 5 million is a lot. People work their entire lives and they will probably never save that much.
maybe it's because I haven't had a job yet. That's probably why I can't. I don't resonate with this at all.
So you have an iPhone, right? Would having 10 more iPhones make your life better?
No.
I mean,
okay,
that's
I'm not
that's
saying
essentially.
I'm gonna buy things with the 50 million.
So what are you gonna do with it? What would you do with it? So you like, nah, 50 million. What? I gotta compromise my integrity? Whatevs.
I'm more financially stable. I make 50 million. I send myself, my sister, and Madison to college.
You probably couldn't. Well, you could probably still do that with 5 million. It would just be a little more difficult, but
yeah. So I wouldn't.
But you're making it every year. You see what I'm saying? It's not like a one-time 5 million. You're making $5 million every year.
Oh, every year?
Now, in the other scenario, you might be making 50. I don't even know. But that's the scenario I'm presenting to you.
So it's 50 million to, like,
I don't remember the exact contract, but I doubt if it was every year. I think it was like 50 million for
the work and okay.
Yeah, maybe like a couple of seasons or something like that.
All right, then maybe.
But the guy makes like millions.
All right, then maybe I take 5 million every year, but
no, I want you.
If it's 50 million every year, then I'm taking the 50 million every year.
Oh my goodness.
I know you wanted me to say number 2 so bad, but I'm being honest.
That's a good argument. I mean, okay, so some people have some good answers. I have my friends commented.
Okay.
So one comment, I'm just going to paraphrase, is that to get that amount of money, you're going to have to make some compromises to your integrity. There's no way around it. But I'm not so sure about that. Of course, I don't have 50 million to be able to tell you. But okay, I can go right back to use Dave Chappelle as an example. Okay. So the Netflix shows he just put out, and he made a contract with Netflix. He already filmed these 2 comedy specials before he put them out. He didn't have a deal with anyone. He just said, I'm going to film these, and maybe someone will buy. I think he had that in mind, that someone would buy them. Netflix came along and said, listen, we'll buy those 2. We want you to do another one sometime later. So one of the shows was from 2015, one 2016, and I think he's going to do one later this year. How much do you think they paid him?
I don't know. How much?
Take a guess.
50 million?
60 million. Now, see, but there's a lesson there, right? He had to wait a little while, but he still got his money. He eventually got that $50-60 million without. You see what I mean?
Okay, so are we? Okay. Then that's his special case.
Right. Okay, so he's an exception, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm saying that not everyone is Dave Chappelle.
But okay, so
is the would you rather, are we given context on if we're in Dave Chappelle's place or not?
You know what? You're right. Yeah, actually right. Because $5 million is still a lot of money. It's a little easier, I think, to say I won't sacrifice my integrity for $5 million because you're still rich. You know, if you're getting $5 million, you're rich.
Right.
But if and you still probably don't really have an idea about this, but if I said, listen, I'll pay you $500,000 a year. That's $500,000. $500,000 a year versus $50,000 a year. If you take 50, hey, you know, you have your integrity, but $500,000, maybe you got to do some things you don't like. That's a much harder. That's a much harder decision to make, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I understand.
Because you go as a matter of fact, so if you're making $500,000 a year, it's actually $400,000. But if you're making $500,000 a year, you're in the top like 0.5% of income earners in the country.
Right. So.
But 50,000, you're like in the middle.
So, but with 5 million and 50 million, it's like you're still top half.
Yeah, you're just rich.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a different degree of rich, but you're rich.
Okay.
In this other example, you're very well off versus probably struggling.
Yeah.
You know, that's a much harder decision, Sri. I don't know what I would do in that situation.
Take the $500K.
I think so. I think so. I think I'd take the 500.
I mean,
but you know what? I do good deeds on the side.
Well, yeah. I mean,
as long as as long as I wasn't hurting anyone, you know.
Yeah, there are like conditions.
Right.
I'm not gonna commit arson or kill somebody.
Oh my God, you went to the extreme. Jeez.
Well, I thought that was like.
You went to the extreme. Good gravy.
Like, what are we talking here? Like,
I don't know. It could
on
be,
like
I don't know.
Like,
we could come up with scenarios. Like, I'm sure
politics, because I'm definitely taking the $500K.
It could be. You're not selling like Flint, Michigan water to babies. I'm not saying, something like that. But maybe, I don't know. I mean, there are nuances in everything. In education, I'm just coming up with a scenario. Maybe, one of the things that has happened in our district in terms of, what do they call it? Tracking, right? What was where you put a kid in a certain group of classes versus another group? What was that?
Leveling.
That's what they called it. So, I don't know. Maybe your company. So what's your position on leveling? Is a good thing or a bad thing? You don't know?
I feel like.
Just pick a side. I don't. It doesn't need to be your opinion, but pick a side. So, pro leveling, no leveling.
I guess I'm pro.
Okay, so let's say you're the CEO of some educational consulting company.
Okay.
And you're pro leveling, but you're not even a CEO. You're just a higher exec. And listen, we'll pay you $500,000 a year, but our company is against leveling. But personally, you're pro leveling, and you're pro leveling because you think it, may help students in some way. I don't know. I'm just making this up.
Okay.
Did you do it, Shree?
Yes. Well, okay. Leveling is, in this case, it can stay or it can go. So leveling at my school, let's say if you're in a certain level, the grades you get in that level have like a more beneficial weight to your GPA.
Okay.
Right? So I'm in the classes where, no matter what like grade I get, like from like C+ up, right? I'm going to benefit a lot from, like, my GPA is going to go up because it's weighted heavily because the courses are harder.
Don't you think that's fair, though?
I
Don't you
do
think that's a better representation of the GPA overall?
Yeah,
Right?
I do think so. The weighted GPA, yeah. And also, but it's like, this is, it's, I don't know. There's no difference between level 4 math and level 5 math. Like the curriculum, we are at the same pace, at the, like, doing all the same work.
But level 5 gets
But
more
level
weight.
5 gets more weight. So they're getting the same. This is just a fault in, like, the teachers or, like, the curriculum that they give you at the school.
Okay. They need to better coordinate that.
Yeah, because if I'm taking a level 5 class, I need to be getting level 5 work.
Right.
Because it's unfair to me and it's unfair to the kids in level 4 who are probably just as capable.
Right.
But putting in just as much work.
And you feel strongly about that, right?
Yes.
All right, but your company that you're an exec in,
Okay,
has consulted the school districts to do the exact opposite of what you're saying is fair. You're getting paid a lot of money to do it, though. You still take that money. What if you are...
Yes, I'd still take the money.
Okay, what if you are the press secretary
Okay.
for the President of the United States? Okay?
Okay.
Let's say. And before you got there, you were highly regarded by your colleagues in the press, in the media, right? Even if they didn't necessarily agree with your political views, you were seen as a reasonable person, a good journalist, right? And then you take a job with the President of the United States. Now, your job becomes representing his thoughts, because the president can't be out there talking to the press every day. He got president stuff to do, like play golf at Mar-a-Lago every weekend. Okay. So let's just say, that was your job. Now, you may not agree with a lot of the things that the president is asking you to say.
Right.
But you have to go out there and represent his words as if you do. And some of the stuff is so outlandish. For instance, let's just say that the president said the previous president wiretapped his phones, tappity tap tap, with no evidence. As a matter of fact, all our greatest institutions, like the FBI, the CIA, the NSA.
So the big ones.
The big ones, the big daddies.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, even some of the foreign intelligence agencies of our allies said there's no truth to this because they were implicated too. And the president said, well, you know what? I didn't come up with this by myself. See, this guy on TV that I saw late at night after the infomercial said that it happened. So you got to talk to him. Now, you're the press secretary. This is a coveted job. There only been a few in our nation's history, but this is your job. You have to represent this guy, and you know that something's not right with this allegation. Do you keep that job? Now, this is not necessarily a money thing, right? Because I'm sure that person could make more money doing other things, but the prestige of the position is very important. So in the long run, you might make a lot of money, but how do you do that?
Well,
Would you, in that coveted position, continue?
No, not in this. Not in this position. No, I would not.
You would not.
Because
there is a line.
There's a line, especially because, like you said, the prestige of the career and of the job.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm sorry. Maybe it's because I'm young, but working with the president that I do not resonate with or agree with, or like if he's not looking out for me, like my family, my friends' family, people who look like me.
Okay.
Then
I'm glad you brought that up.
no.
All right, so let's say, because that's an interesting point. You said people who you identify with. If the president is not looking out for those people, then you can't justify. All right. How about if you didn't belong to one of those groups?
So if I was like,
say what you gotta say, girl. Go ahead, say.
so if I was like a white male.
All right. So what are you saying about our president? This is a fictional scenario I'm coming up with here.
So
I'm not talking about anybody. This is hypothetical. So
you have to clarify that?
No, this is hypothetical.
Okay, so today in history, we watched a clip from West Side Story.
In history class?
Yeah.
Okay, West Side Story. You mean with Rita Moreno?
Yeah, you know what? I really like that movie, but the one thing, this is just a side note, the one thing that really like gets to me is that they're most of them are just white people in brown face. You can tell some of them are Latino,
yeah,
but it's
but they're the lighter
secondary characters.
All right, let's stay on one topic.
Anyway,
that's another subject.
So we were watching the musical number I Like to Be in America, right? Where all the girls are like, I love it here, and all the guys are like, heck no, I want to go back to San Juan, right?
Puerto Rico.
So,
Puerto Rico. Oh.
So
you don't know that. That's before your time. Puerto Rico. Oh.
So basically, all the women were like, we're free to do whatever we want, and
in America. Was that the one?
No, so she was like, the one line is, life is all right in America. And then the guys are like, if you're all white in America, right?
So they were giving it. They were talking about it, man. They were talking about the issues.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but,
yeah,
life is pretty good.
Life is good, but I feel like you can't fulfill that,
the ultimate American.
The ultimate Americanness.
All right, I'm going
by like the standards of our founding fathers, or by like so white men set a standard for Americanness.
This went left, but go ahead.
Sorry.
All right.
And how are we supposed to fit that standard as people who are not white men?
Okay.
So
all right, so
if I was a white man, like Donald Trump.
Okay, Donald Trump. I wasn't I mean, you just brought Donald Trump in there. I wasn't talking about Donald Trump, but go ahead. You were talking
or
Donald
like
Trump.
All of our other presidents besides one.
Okay.
Then yes, I'd take that money.
So if you were a white male, you would take the money. Is that what you're saying?
And political views were like level with his, which is,
All right. So now, here's what I would say to that, because this is one of the things that I feel that I think is reasonable. Right now, you said something that I wouldn't agree with you. Okay. Because you said now here's a funny thing. I wish I had the wherewithal to put it up top or put it on the screen. But there's an article. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to do it anyway. Uh, I'll talk about as I'm trying to find it. There's this woman who is Mexican. Okay. And she voted for Trump, right?
Why?
For whatever reason. I don't know. Plenty of people voted for Trump for many different reasons. I don't want to speculate why. You know what I mean? Um, I did not vote for Trump for what I think should be obvious reasons, but to many people, it doesn't amount to a reason not to vote for him, and I'll give people that, right? So I would think, it's when he announced the very first of all, even before he announced that he was running for president, I would never have voted for him. I had enough information about him that, in my view, and many people who knew him, knew he was not, felt he was not qualified to be president and would never vote for him. I think in New York City, the city he's from, he got like 7% of the vote. Okay. So we're right outside of New York City. I have all that news from 30 years of following him. And, in my view, he has always presented both racist, I could stop right there, but misogynist viewpoints. To me, that is enough for me to say that someone is not qualified to be president. How are you going to represent everyone in the country if you hold these types of views? Okay. For other people, that simply didn't rise to the level of it was sort of like, okay, we understand that, but there are these other things over here. So I can tolerate that and still vote for him. There are other people who would say that he isn't those things, that he is not racist or misogynist. Now, I disagree with those. Those people, we have a fundamental disagreement. So we're never going to meet eye to eye. But that's the only way I can justify someone who saw his announcement speech and said, those Mexicans, man, they're trying to come over here and do raping and killing and we got to get them out. Now, someone who knows his history or someone who's sensitive to these things saw that as a racist declaration. Okay? You are automatically disqualified from being president. Some people are aware and in tune enough to that they can recognize that. Other people just don't. And sometimes the person you're doing it to doesn't recognize it. Ben Carson doesn't recognize racism, although he's a black man in this country. Okay? So there's some people who are Mexican who didn't recognize that as anti-Mexican. Okay? So here's this woman. I'm not laughing. Hold on. I don't know where it is. I can't find it.
So she voted for Trump, and then
She
her
voted
husband got deported.
And her husband got deported. Exactly. Now, so
You almost like want to laugh at that.
well, I'm the part that makes me want to laugh is the part that
Irony.
it's the irony in it. I don't wish for this woman to have a bad time.
Yeah,
I don't
not.
wish for those kids to not have to deal with not being with their father, or this man who's been he's been here for 20 years.
Yeah.
Law abiding, and say he never even got a traffic ticket. So for an individual like that the one law he broke was an immigration law, but he's been a good citizen, paid taxes, that he gets deported. It's a tragedy, but that person, these people voted for this guy. That you don't recognize that the part about we're going to get the bad hombres out is just a smokescreen. It's like, no, you're brown, so you are a bad hombre. And we're going to find a way to make it that we can get you out. It's a blanket statement. Mexican was just coded language for all y'all. That's how I saw it. Now, what I will say, though, is that he's made, inflammatory statements about groups that I don't necessarily belong to. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Mexican. I'm not a woman, right? On and on. But because I don't belong to those groups, does that mean I shouldn't empathize and stand on their side? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So going back to the analogy I gave you, right? I said, okay, you're the press secretary. And let's say in this scenario, let's use the Donald Trump scenario instead of the fictional scenario I used. All right.
Okay.
Let's say you're a white male and your name is Sean Spicer, right? Many of the groups that Donald Trump is talking about, Sean Spicer doesn't belong to those groups, but you can see the tragedy going on. You can see this guy approving a pipeline through Indian reservation sacred territory, right? You can see him writing executive orders that discriminate against people because of their religious beliefs, and not necessarily who they're so-called targeting is violent people who are using religion as a scapegoat. It's not the religion, it's the people that are doing it, right? But it's not the people who believe in that religion. He's not making those distinctions. If I'm a guy and I don't agree with this, I don't know that I could do that job. I don't belong to any of these groups. But I can see, when he, use that he used it in a crass way, the P word, right? Oh, that, but you know about that, right? You remember when he said the thing about you just grab him by the thing? You remember that? I don't have to be a lady to know that that's not something you do. And that guy's a jerk. Why do I don't need to be a lady to recognize that or to empathize with that. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. So I went on a rant.
No, I was listening.
Okay. But you get me?
Yes. Yes.
I saw this, maybe I could put that up. I saw this, but it won't. You won't be able to hear it. Oh, well. It was it's a video. It's a Allstate video where this guy is looking at this little puppy. He's on the subway and it's a picture of a puppy. Adopt me. And he's looking at it. And then he's like going through town and like he sees a homeless guy with a sign and then like a kids center for youth. And all these things are affecting him. And he's just seeing signs, but all these people kind of appear and follow him. And it's just a representation of the things he's thinking about because they're not really there. But the premise of the commercial was, these things are weighing on you because you're connected. We're connected. And you should find a way to connect to people who are not like you, who are not, who don't necessarily believe what you believe, but they're somehow marginalized or suffering or whatever. When we went to the Women's March, what was the one thing you said?
There are like a lot of...
No, about men versus women. What was the one thing you said? You don't remember?
No.
Why are so many men here? Right? You were surprised by that because why would men advocate for women? That's absurd. No, it's not. Men care about women. Men care about something other outside of themselves. People should be able to do that. I'm not like you, but I care about you. Because we are connected. That's the one thing people, I feel like we're not realizing is we are connected. You know what I mean? So if your integrity's free, when you become press secretary, it's compromised, and you feel like somehow what you're doing is hurting someone, you need to quit. I'm just saying. But 500,000, you might have to think twice, right? Is that what you're saying?
You're gonna have to give it some deep thought.
Deep thought. All right. You got anything else to say, sir?
I don't know. We should save it for the other podcast.
We should save it.
Yeah, save it for the next one.
Oh man. All right. I gotta get. You see that little thing there? That didn't show up, right? You can't even see what that says.
Just because it's yellow.
It's because it's yellow. I should have a darker background, right?
Yeah.
We'll get it right one day. Oh well. All right. Okay, so how do say peace to the people, right in the camera.
Peace to the people.
Peace to the people. All right. Awesome. Every Friday.
Oh my. You just trapped me.
That was good. I like that. That was a good conversation.
You know what? My history teacher